Hey Terry, can you tell me about your religious excursion to see Hotel for Dogs?
Yes, the moment I realized that there was a hell on earth, and it was the local movie theater. So what basically happened is that in my community, now mind you, the Jewish community has their own little practices. My mother was working at a little gas station up in Maine called Galusha's. I lived in Clinton, Maine, by the way. And my mother had to work on the weekends, so to keep me preoccupied, there would be little church events where my mother would send me off with other kids to whatever little church events we would go to. And one week in spring, I think it was April, I'm not 100% sure, I was taken to go see the movie Hotel for Dogs. I hadn't really seen too much about it, but I thought it would be something nice to do. And if I remember correctly, one of the actors was from Wizards of Waverly Place, which is a show that I was kind of a fan of at the time. So I thought, why not? So we drive up there and we go into the movie theater. And we were provided with drinks and popcorn. Now, mind you, we got the kids boxes. Those are little boxes that have enough popcorn for like one handful and a drink that's really really small. For some reason, the popcorn's always more salty in those boxes, so you're more thirsty at the end of it. But we sit down and we watch the movie, and that's when it went downhill. I remember when I watched the film that I didn't understand the entire the entire premise was just weird to me. So you have two kids in foster care who scheme the government, well, not scheme the government, but scheme a guy into buying rocks in a cell phone box, believing they were actually cell phones, which, of course, yeah, you don't check that for some reason. And then they use the money to go buy food because their foster parents aren't getting them food. And even as a kid, I was just like, wait a minute, doesn't the foster care system make sure that the foster parents actually feed the kids? But I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So later on, they find a dog. They are not allowed to keep the dog because of their foster parents. So they instead try to keep the dog at a hotel. And then there's more dogs, more kids get involved. And the entire time I'm just thinking to myself, how are they affording this? Because dog food is expensive. I know they were feeding them other things too, but still, I didn't understand the whole how they did this. These kids were like, I think 7 and 13 at the time. Again, my memory's a little hazy about this film. And somehow they were able to just Rube Goldberg their way up with this old abandoned hotel, which again, that's an impressive engineering feat. I think these kids are being wasted, not being used as, civic engineers. And then we get the classic second and third act structure. They live happily ever after because the officer is in charge of making sure that they do their daily bit, adopts them, and they get to keep the dog and all that. So, it's just your cheesy, everyday, run of the mill movie. Nothing too impressive.
Yeah.
And I walked out of that theater and I was just thinking to myself, wow, this was a terrible experience. And on the drive back, like, none of the kids were even talking about it. We were just all like, that was shit. Even my friend Taylor at the time was just kind of quiet about it. And the religious leader was, even herself, was just like, trying to play up the messages of forgiveness and kindness in the movie, and I'm just like, are you really serious right now? I think the most unusual part of that day though was on the drive back we drove by a cow field and we literally saw two cows reproducing. So yeah, that was just the day.
Terry, I love how when Christians want to do a religious watch a religious film, they just go to see a bad film like A Walk to Remember or something like that. For Jews, the only religious films they have is like
Mhm.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List or Eight Crazy Nights,
Uh,
but let's be honest, Eight Crazy Nights is an insult.
I should say my experience with Hotel for Dogs too. So you know how now Cartoon Network always has like a terrible film Friday where they just pick a film for no
Mhm.
reason at all, and they used to love playing Hotel for Dogs all the time, and I watched it once and hated it. And actually later, somebody asked me about what that film they always play on Cartoon Network was, and I accidentally said Hotel Rwanda.
I mean, that would definitely be interesting. Hotel Rwanda. Actually, that's a really good film, everybody. You should watch it.
You know,
Um, but
no,
yeah,
they probably were some dogs in that movie.
yeah, the ones feeding on the corpses.